Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I am Jonathan Martins and we've been exploring Azure Cloud Labs step by step to help you build hands-on cloud skills. Before we dive right in for today, make sure to like this video, subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming Azure Labs, okay? We're building this entire Azure journey together, one lab at a time. Today, we're going to be moving on to Lab 5 and we're going to be working with Azure Storage Account Geo-Replication. For those of us very familiar with AWS S3 cross-region replication, this is the Azure equivalent. So as usual, we're going to dive right into our architecture diagram so we get a good understanding of what we're going to be working on today. Like I mentioned earlier, in this lab, we're going to create a primary storage account in Canada Central. And what's going to happen is that Azure will automatically replicate our data to a secondary region, which we have here, Canada East, using Read-Access Geo-Redundant Storage. Okay, so what's going to happen behind the scenes is that we're going to upload files to a container, right? And we have our container inside the storage account, and our storage account is inside the primary region, as you can see here. And then the files that we're going to upload to the container are basically called blobs. Okay, so what's going to happen is that Azure automatically copies those blobs to a read-only replica in the paired region. In this case, our paired region is Canada East. Okay, and what happens is that this basically ensures that the data is safe. Even if an entire Azure region goes down, we still have our data backed up. And again, we're also going to talk about enabling versioning, and then we're going to generate a SAS link. So SAS basically stands for Shared Access Signature, and this would help us to securely share like the blob without making it public. So in short, I would say your data in Canada Central is always going to be backed up in Canada East, and you don't have to write a single line of replication code. That's what Azure is going to help us do. But to get a very real world view of how this is going to work, right? So let's say we have a video production company in Toronto, okay? And then we store the video archives in like a blob storage like we have. And if, let's say that data center goes down, let's say Canada Central goes down, Azure already replicated like all the videos to, let's say, a city. Let's say our city in Canada East is Quebec. So Azure already replicated like the videos to Quebec. So what will happen is that we can still read and download the files from the secondary region. And I would say this is very critical for business continuity, basically also critical for compliance and even disaster recovery, especially for industries like banking, healthcare, or even media production, where downtime is not an option at all. So that's a good view, right? So that's like a good idea of what we're going to talk about or what we're working on today. So now let's jump into the Azure portal and then we can set this up step by step. Okay, so we can create a resource group first. Right in Canada Central. So now we can create our storage account. So what we want is the Geo-Redundant Storage. Okay. So yes, we have our application, Read-Access Geo-Redundant Storage. So what's going to happen is that this storage account will automatically create a secondary read-only replica, and it's going to create it in Canada East. Okay, so let's create the storage account. Okay, so we can go ahead to create a blob container. So let's create a container. You can call this demo container, right? And the anonymous access level by default is already on private. Okay, so we can create this. Okay, so now in our container we can actually try to upload the file. So first of all, let's create a sample file that we can upload. So to create a file, let me cd into desktop, and then I can create a sample file, sample.txt file, and I can just have hello world. Okay, and then I can save this and then close this. So to upload a file, a very simple file, have this, I can upload a sample file. Okay, great. So this is our file here. So now just let's try to access it publicly, and then we're going to see that it's going to deny us access to this file. Okay, so public access not permitted. All right, which we talked about that the files cannot be accessed publicly. So we're going to try to access it publicly, and I'm going to show you how. Okay, but before we do that, let's talk a bit about versioning. So right in our storage account, we can go to data management, and we can have data protection. Yes, so we want to enable versioning for blobs. So I want to keep all versions, and then I can save this. Then if I go back to my So while this is taking time to load, I can show you how we can verify, redundancy. So we can navigate right, go to data management again, and go to redundancy. So we can see that our primary region is Canada Central, and Azure automatically created the secondary region because of we selected Read-Access Geo-Redundant Storage, right? And our secondary region is in Canada East. So now we can go back to our container, of course. Yes, okay, this is loads now. So we can view versions here. Okay, no previous version found. Okay, so now how can we, back to how we can access you know, a file here. So we can basically try to generate the shared access signature. So if we try to generate this, of course permission is to read, just to read, and we can set the timing to expire, let's say after 1 hour. So if we can say, okay, it can expire, let's say in 1 hour time, for example. And once I generate the SAS token and SAS URL, if I copy this, right, and I come back here to paste, you can see hello world. Now we can get access. So in 1 hour time, we could reduce the time, right? In an hour time or in a few minutes, basically what could happen is we won't be able to get access to this if it is expired. So this is a secure way of actually getting public access to the file or the data. Okay, now moving back to versioning, basically what happens is if let's say we go make a change, right, in our file, and let's say change made, and then we can call this first change, right? And then we save. Okay, then we close this. So what could happen now is, let's say we are trying now to upload a new data, right? So let's say I upload the same data, and of course I want to overwrite. Okay, so if I upload this, yeah, successfully uploaded. If I refresh, I have just one sample txt. But now if I try to let me try if this is gonna work. Okay, now I'm using the same URL because it hasn't expired yet. You can see the change. But now the deal is that we just have to override like the previous sample.txt file. So can we actually get access to that file? Is it deleted for good or what? So because we've enabled versioning, what could happen is that we could view versions, right? And then we can see this version, and I can create like the shared access signature URL for this version, and yeah, I can generate that. And then if I copy this, okay, open a new tab here, right? So this is the the first version that we had, which means that it's not deleted. There was a soft delete like we had in our diagram here. So we can enable versioning where if we have like a file, this is soft delete, and then it can be recovered, like previous data can actually be recovered, right? And yes, and okay, so if I also, just to do that one more time, if I open this, and then we could do the change made and second change, right? And I save this, and I close this. Okay, so if I upload this same data, override again, and I upload. If I come back here, I reload. Yes, second change is there. This is still going to be the same. I just reloaded. And if I check the versions, so view versions, now there's another version which was created. Okay, so if I come here, generate the token, copy this. Yes, so this is it. So if I keep reloading, this is the previous version. So yes, of course, when we are done with our lab, what we want to do is delete resources. But basically, we were able to see that, okay, anytime we create the data is being replicated in another region, right? And also for the versioning, we're able to understand that even when it's being overridden, of course, we can also gain access. So that's it for Lab 5, working with Azure Storage account, Geo-Replication. And basically, we've learned how Azure handles cross-region replication automatically, keeping our data, I'll say highly available and resilient with just a few clicks. So of course, if this lab helps you understand how Azure protects data like globally, you can actually drop a like, subscribe, and share this with a friend who is learning cloud too. Yes, so of course, if you're done with this lab, you want to make sure that all resources are being deleted. So we can go to our resource group and then we can delete, confirm deletion for all resources. And yes, that's it for lab 5. So until we meet in the next lab, remember I'm Jonathan Martins and this has been lab 5 in the Azure Lab series. So please continue to stay curious, continue building, and I'm going to see you in the next lab. Thank you very much.